Greetings and welcome to the Southside Help Center show. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. This is a live call-in show. So if you have any questions about the subjects that we're going to be talking about, please do give us a call. Our number here is 312-738-1060. It is a live call-in show. So please call in if you have any questions concerning the topic of our discussion. This is the Southside Help Center show. Because we are running behind on time, I'm not going to talk too much, but I'm going to first introduce my guest. My guest today is Miss Felicia Simpson. And our show today is going to be on domestic violence, and domestic violence is a real concern within the African American community, because most of the times people don't know when they're involved in a domestic violent relationship, what levels of domestic violence there is, and also domestic violence among teens, and that is really big, and so many times they don't know that they're being abused. So it's going to be important. So this is the Southside Help Center show. We're going to be talking about domestic violence. If you have any questions, call here at the station. The number here is 312-738-1060. And my guest today is Miss Felicia Simpson. So I'm going to go right in and jump right in and ask you, what are some of the beginning signs of a relationship that has domestic violence or domestic abuse?
Some of the beginning warning signs are quick involvement, which is my favorite. To give an example, someone that learns your behavior quickly, wants to meet your family right away. I know some people are old school and meeting your family should be the first thing, but in this age, a lot of things have changed. So if you have somebody that's quick to be involved in everything that you do, everything about you, that is a warning sign. Someone whose temper is slightly turned to anger at any given drop of a conversation or any trigger in a conversation. Stalking. There's so many signs that we could discuss, but those are just a few.
And we're going to hit stalking because a lot of times people don't really know when they're being stalked and what levels of stalking that they are. Oftentimes people think that that's just when somebody's following you, but there's a number of different things that happens when an individual stalks you. Last year we had a summit, and it was a teen summit, normally around February 7th, which is National Black Awareness. We try to do something that's revolving around our youth, and we had a domestic violence among youth teen summit, which was a phenomenal event, and we partnered up, and we always talking about partnering and how important it is. We partnered with Restored Hope. Restored Hope is a domestic violence among youth organization, and Ms. Tamika Walton, what they do is they focus on domestic violence among youth, and it's going to be important that we talk about that, because so often if you don't know you're being abused as a teen, it just kind of goes into what you are as an adult. So it's important that we recognize abusive tendencies and signs early on in a relationship. Stalking, just talk about stalking for a minute, because sometimes people don't know that they're actually being stalked and what that consists of.
Stalking can be anywhere from the physical, following you around, to the checking in on your social media sites, your phone devices, making you check into the places, for example, on Foursquare, letting them know that you're at a certain place at a certain time when you said you were, checking your gas tank mileage. Stalking it goes over and beyond just the following of the car that's in front or behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing that people have to realize when you start talking about stalking. And early in a relationship, when you got an individual who starts to do these different things or different behaviors, as far as, not just following you around, but definitely checking on you in terms of phone calls, or a number of phone calls throughout the day, checking your story to see if it matches, make sure you say it where you are, you say you're going to be, all of these different things. And a lot of times it's like so early in a relationship, is you like looking at the phone like, wait, hold on. Are they calling me? Are you kidding me? So, stalking just goes across the board. It's just different levels of stalking. So you need to be mindful of those type of behaviors as well. And in terms of who gets abused, talk about that as well, Felicia. Who actually gets abused?
Anyone can be abused, whether you're a child, whether you're a woman or a man. We rarely hear about men who are being abused, but recent years, more men are coming out and speaking about their abuse from their early childhood that maybe turned them into abusers, or they are now being battered in their adulthood.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean it can be a same-sex relationship.
Yes.
It can be a male and female relationship. It doesn't even matter. I mean, you got women out there that are very aggressive, and you got men who are in abusive relationships. So when you start talking about different abuses, let's talk about the levels of abuse, because abuse is just not physical. Am I correct?
Right. You have emotional abuse. You have the physical abuse, you have sexual abuse, you can go into financial abuse, economical abuse. There are so many levels other than the physical abuse, which everyone is so quick to say, which is domestic violence. But all of those components of abuse is, one is not greater than the other. Abuse in no way is love. It's not accepted and shouldn't be tolerated.
Absolutely. This is the Southside Help Center Show. If you have any questions about what we're talking about, and the subject we're talking about today is domestic abuse, not just among adults, but as well as among teens. So if you have any questions, it's so important that, we try to offer all different types of programs with the Southside Help Center. We've been talking about over the last 7 weeks, different programs that we offer, whether it's an HIV prevention program, whether it's our condom distribution program, whether it's our case management for HIV positive people, whether it's collaborative programs that we've been doing. So it's a number of different things that we've been doing. This is our 25th year, or our silver anniversary. So we've actually been providing services now for 25 years. So we truly would like to thank you, the community, because without you, we would not be so successful. We have seen many organizations who have not been able to continue. So we thank you for that. And we want to be able to continue to provide quality services. And that's why we're talking about domestic violence today, because it is so very prevalent in our community. And one of the things we want to make sure that verbal abuse is big in our community. And it starts very, very young. And you have seen it many times. For instance, when you be in a store and you see some of our sisters, and I ain't just saying sisters, I only saying sisters because most of the time the women are the ones who are most directly with the kids, so you'll probably see it more in that area. But it doesn't just happen with the women, it happens with men and women. And that verbal abuse, we see it in the stores all the time when they're cussing the kids out, you know what I'm saying, for one reason or another. That's verbal abuse. And you got to remember, if you continuously verbally abuse a child, they begin to think that's what's normal. And that be the seeds. We always talk about planting those seeds, and those kind of seeds, negative seeds, whether it be something positive you plant in the kid's life or something negative that you plant in the kid's life, it will grow. It will foster. So a lot of times that verbal abuse starts right at home before it actually goes into something else.
Right, and it stems back to Big Mama and them, and when they was cussing Mama out, and then therefore Mama cussed you out as a kid. And it's called really trying to break the cycle. If you hear that term or that motto in domestic violence, it's called breaking the cycle. Break the cycle of what Big Mama and Mama did that wasn't so healthy for you as a child or in your adulthood, or to carry it on over into your own family. Don't cuss out your kids in the store.
Absolutely.
And that starts to break the cycle in your home.
Right, and that's right. What we wanted to go into is how do you get out of an abusive relationship? And one of the things that she's talking about is breaking the cycle, and that happens early, is because when you think about, how you may have been verbally abused as a child, and we carry that behavior on by cussing out our own children, and that just continues on and on and on. And again, it's just fosters and get transferred. So you break the cycle just by, just thinking back and with your own kids, looking at what you can do different to express your feelings, because sometimes we do get angry with our children for one reason or another based on their behavior. So we have to look at different ways in which we can address that. One of the things that I talk about when we start talking about our parenting classes, most of us, or most African-American women, and I don't care if y'all get mad when I say, but most African-American women, this is what happens in terms of discipline. They tell their kids not to do something, and I believe if you told them not to do it, then you must have meant that you didn't want them to do it or to stop it. The kids rarely respond to that first warning when you tell them to stop. And most of the time, the sisters, they don't do anything. They'll just tell them again. They'll say stop or get down from there. Now, they wanted them down the first time, but they didn't tell them. Are we still on? Yeah, the first time they didn't want them down. They wanted them down, but they didn't get down. So they tell them, get down again. Right. So, okay, they didn't get down the second time. So now they done got into the third time when they told them to stop something or get down, and the kid didn't do it. So now what happens is, because you told them 3 times and they refused you the first 2-3 times, it's the 4th time that you react or respond, but now you're reacting and responding out of anger. Right. What happens normally, you slap them across the room, and you got to remember you're much bigger and stronger. That's where the abuse comes in at, and so often we don't look at that in terms of the levels that we take the abuse into, or the levels on which we respond. And as parents, as mothers or fathers, we have to, if you want a child to stop something, if you don't respond to them the first or second or third time, then they know once you tell them, they got another time before you tell them again. They got another time before you tell them again. So they know that they ain't going to get no consequences till after about the third time, in which time you're angry. So we have to look at the different methods that we use in terms of disciplining our children when we want them to change a particular behavior. I think we got a caller. Caller, you on the air?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I just came in from work and kind of tuned in on you, and I just want to say thank you so much for this conversation that you are having, because like you said, planting seeds, that is so true, and a lot of people don't realize, especially women, do not realize the seeds that they're planting when they're, you know, cussing the kids out and talking to them and telling them, get your way over here, and, you know, a lot of the women don't realize what they're doing to those children, so therefore they take it to school and they give it to the teacher.
That's right.
And then when the teacher calls the parent and tell the parent what's going on and what's happening, then you get, you know, the parent that gets defensive. Now my child didn't say that, my child didn't do this and do that, you know. So thank you, because you're actually sharing and you're exposing, you know, something that they may not even think twice about.
Absolutely.
You know, and I mean, this is just so awesome just to hear you, you know, talking about that and sharing that. You just, I'm sitting writing stuff down, and I'm like, even though I know, but I'm like, okay, wow, let me write this down before I forget, because I can share this with my girls, you know, because I mentor girls on how to be young ladies and telling them you don't have to show everything in order to get attention.
Absolutely.
You know, you should be able to get attention just by having conversation with somebody.
Absolutely.
You know, and a lot of times, you know, these girls get caught up in these relationships, and the boy telling them this, that, or whatever, and they feed their, you know, they feed them with what the girl wants to hear, and then they got them doing this, that, you know, then they get to the point where they get aggressive with them, and the girls think that is love, and it's not.
Absolutely.
So I thank you so much for sharing this information. You all keep going. I'm excited, and I'm going to sit here and watch it until y'all leave.
Well, we truly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you. If you have any questions or comments, please do give us a call here at the station. It's a live call-in show, 312-738-1060. I have Miss Felicia Simpson, and she deals with domestic violence, and I'm truly pleased and blessed to have her here. Because again, like the young lady said, so oftentimes because we have been so well programmed, we don't know that what we're doing is not good, you know, because kids get the distorted sense of right and wrong because of what their past history has been. So we have to change that, you know, in terms of our level of defense, in terms of discipline, in terms of what we need to do as women, as men, in terms of domestic violence and how that stuff grows, festers, and progresses. Just vital that you definitely take a look at that. And we were talking about how do you get out of those relationships.
In order to get out of a domestic violence relationship, there are several things that you must do. First, you must have precaution. That is the most dangerous time for any victim to leave a relationship. Once the abuser or batterer recognize that you're trying to leave, then the tension builds, then the explosions and the arguments build. So I would first say be careful. Get a support system or support team of people that you trust, that you can confide in, that will give you shelter if you need to run out in the middle of the night with yourself or your children. Use secret code words with your children. Teach your children how to unlock doors around the house. Pack an overnight bag. Do whatever you need to do to escape.
Absolutely. And this is so very real for us, and this is why we're talking about, and it's what we call making plans and preparations. It's necessary, you know, and people like, they act like they're trying to escape from jail. Well, absolutely, because when you're in a domestic relationship, and abuse just doesn't go with the individual, meaning man, the woman or the man who's being abused. It's across the board. An abusive individual does not stop at that one individual. They'll abuse her, they'll abuse all of the children and everybody else that they come in contact with. So, and it is necessary that you get a plan of action. They do have numbers for the National Domestic Hotline. That number, let me make sure I get it right, is 1-800. The DV, Domestic Violence Hotline, the number is 1-800-799-7233. And again, you get more information about what needs to happen, but it is very necessary if you are involved in an abusive relationship, because so oftentimes those relationships end in death. People are definitely killed. So this is very serious business, and we're talking about it because we also want you to know about domestic violence among youth. And why is it so important that they get this information? Because so oftentimes they get that distorted sense of right and wrong. And we're going to talk about it. I got another call. I'm going to take the caller. But the other thing I want to make sure that we cover is why, as a father, you know, and a father and having daughters, what is so important for us to teach our girls coming up, and I say girls because, you know, it goes across the board with our males and females, and so don't get me confused. When I start talking about girls, I'm talking about my girls now, you know. So therefore, what they need to see in a man so that they'll know what to accept from a man. We got a caller. Caller, you on the air? Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, I wanted to say, are there any particular telltale signs that we should check for in a domestic abuser?
Yeah, and we were able to we covered some of them, but we're gonna cover them from again. But let me make sure that you get Felicia's number too, because if you're doing mentoring, because we also provide male and female mentoring, we always want to collaborate because there may be some things for different things that you're sharing with your youth, some techniques that's so important that we're able to share that same information with ours. The number at the center is 773-445-5445, and what's your direct line, Felicia, if they want to call you and talk about domestic violence and what you can do as far as giving that information to our young people?
773-701-4258.
4258. So please, if you don't get enough information today, because the time does go quickly, but if you don't get enough, call us at the agency. We're the Southside Help Center. We're located at 10420 South Halsted, or you can reach us on our website, www.southsidehelp.org. You can reach us on the website, and you can go in and we can talk about more about domestic violence as well as mentoring. We've done a couple of programs on mentoring, and we're going to continue to do so because this information is vital. And what I want to talk about, and I had this conversation the other day because I have 3 sons that are all grown, but I also have some daughters now, and the question was, and I was saying that it's just different in terms of what I share with them. You know, they're very young, but it's important that they see what it is to be a man and what they should accept in terms of behavior. So it's very important that we as men, when I start talking about planting those seeds and cultivating and growing them, how important it is for us as brothers to take our responsibility serious, especially with our boys and our girls. I want to say with our girls, but especially with our young women, man. We need to step up to the plate and really show them what real men are, so that when they get to that stage and they start dating, they'll actually know what they need to look for, what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. And when you're involved in your child's life, that's, you know, I want to see every cat she thinks she want to do. I want to see him first. You know, we got to talk about something. I don't know what, but he needs to understand, you know, we need to talk about something, because there's going to always be consequences when you're dealing with my daughters, you know, in terms of how you treat them. So it's important that they be treated correctly. We got a caller. Let me get that caller. We can come back to that now. Hey, we can go right back to it. Caller, you on the air? Yes, you're on the air, caller.
Oh, is it me?
Yes, you're on.
Oh, okay, it's me again.
That's all right.
Okay, but listen, 2 things. One, I want to find out where you guys are at, because maybe you all can help me with something that I'm working on. Okay. 2, when she gave the advice about the domestic violence, one thing, when a woman is ready to get out of that relationship, she has to be serious. And I'm speaking from experience, okay? Because you can say, I'm tired, I want to get out of this, and you can constantly say that, but until you are physically tired of being hit, until you are physically tired of being verbally abused, hit on, beat on, whatever, then that's when you are going to make the decision to leave. However, make sure when you leave, you don't look back. You keep on going, because if you go back, then we may be going to the funeral.
Absolutely. And I'm going to let you close up for us, but what we're going to do, I'm going to have to bring Ms. Simpson back, because now, you know, we're really getting into it, and it's important that we do. So we're going to look at the schedule. We're going to bring Ms. Simpson. I want her to put on notice that we're going to bring her back so that we continue to talk more about domestic violence and what needs to happen for those women, men, or whomever, and what they need to do in order to get out of that relationship. But if somebody needs to get in contact with you, give them the information so that they'll know, so that we can call you in between time.
Again, 773-701-4258.
Well, we truly appreciate you guys calling in. You can reach us at www.southsidehelp.org, or call us at the agency, 773-445-5445, if you need more information, and you can take a look at the programs that we do offer. Truly, I thank you again, Ms. Simpson, for coming on. I am going to have her back. We're going to talk a little bit more about domestic violence, what needs to happen. So until we see you again, we'd like to thank you, and we bid you peace.